folks an overview of what New Outlook Wealth is about from an advisor perspective. So one of the key things we wanted to bring up was, what is that fundamental struggle that advisors are dealing with across the industry, and especially in the mutual fund firms. And these are some of the key issues that we know resonate. And in fact, many of the founding members of our group were struggling with these issues themselves when they decided to come to New Outlook Wealth. So, struggling with issues around maintaining compensation, falling on the sales grid. So the sales grid is obviously a big issue. Getting paid fairly, staying on top of compliance, which is a huge issue, being supported properly, both from a practical operational perspective, but also from a professional perspective and even psychological perspective, being recognized properly, and then of course having the opportunity to have a succession plan. So if you're struggling with those things, does your life as an advisor really resemble that right now? And if you feel like, well, hold on a second, there's a few of those things that really do resonate with me, then it's something that we've been really trying very hard to solve. So this is what we call the Now Advisor Advantage. And so this is a very quick little pitch about us. And for those of you who are feeling that some of those struggles resonate with you, then by all means reach out. But really what we wanted to do is show that there is a model out there that we've created that addresses most of those concerns, in fact, all of them, in various ways with various levels of success. But I'm very confident that we have that model ready to go, and we're open to welcoming new advisors to that platform, to our platform. So compensation and benefits is always an important thing. There's 8 slides in here, run through it really fast, but the comp and benefits is a no-brainer, right? Like, you want to have high payout ratios. You want to have high insurance overrides. We also have a very strong group plan, which is surprisingly rare in our industry. I've worked at various very large dealers over the years, and surprisingly had both very uncompetitive group benefits, very expensive group plans, and usually very poor coverage. So I find it kind of ironic that with a smaller firm, we're able to get far better coverage and far better premium. So our group plan is very proud of that. We do believe it's important to have a proper benefits plan. Obviously, we also do insurance as a firm. So if our own people are not protected properly, that's a bit of a problem. So benefits are important. Compensation, super important. Lower expenses. So it's all nice and dandy to say, yeah, you get paid more, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's what's left in your pocket, right? What have you got to show for it? And I don't just mean from a net perspective, from taxation. I'm talking about what are your outlays. And so when you have the freedom to run your practice in your own way, the ability to lower those expenses from an operational point of view, the opportunity is massive. Furthermore, because our advisors work in an unlicensed fashion, financial planners in Canada do not need to be licensed, obviously, and because we're using third-party wealth managers, there is no mutual fund licensing required in this model, nor IIROC. So therefore, it reduces a lot of overhead, a lot of responsibility from a compliance perspective, and a lot of the costs that come with that compliance. No sales grid, that's a very simple concept that we adopted early on when we founded New Outlook Wealth. And that's the idea that everyone's on a level playing field. If we have advisors who want to make more money, they simply have to be more productive, sell more, bring on more assets, whatever. But there isn't a game to play. There isn't a contest or a ladder to go up and down on. The lack of sales grid, I think, the deliberate choice not to have one is a huge differentiator for us. And it's not to say that there aren't other firms out there that do that as well, but I profoundly feel that after an entire career living on a grid, I think it's nice to be able to offer advisors an opportunity where they're not having to fight for every square inch. So that's important. Reduced compliance is a massive piece of what we do. The ability, the focus and intent of separating wealth management from financial planning is by no means an accident. It is not just a matter of compliance and trying to eliminate that frustration, that bottleneck, and that headache for advisors. That's certainly a big part of it. And this model allows that to happen because the compliance and regulatory requirements fall on the portfolio managers that we work with. So they have the duty to provide that oversight. That regulatory environment needs to be monitored from their perspective, but our advisors are reasonably free of that. Obviously, they have to operate in good faith and under, there are certainly guidelines in terms of if you're a certified financial planner, how you must treat your clients and so forth. It's not a free-for-all, but it certainly means that the paperwork and administrative headache that goes with compliance is largely eliminated. So we're very proud of that aspect. The technology piece, really going to do an amazing job showcasing that tomorrow, actually, on day 3. It's our Fintech Showcase. And the technology side of what we're doing is really just at the cusp of taking off. We've already adopted a lot of the latest technology from a financial planning perspective and from an insurance distribution perspective with Fineo, looking at partnering with Flinks and SideDrawer as well, which is very exciting. We use Maximizer as our CRM. And Maximizer is a Canadian firm, which we're proud to be using as well. So generally speaking, the technology framework that we've adopted and will continue to expand upon as time goes on is very robust and will be a very important piece of what differentiates not only our advisor experience, but also our client experience. Support, and this is important because I think there's very little middle ground, and this middle ground is something that we're trying to occupy in the industry, where being independent doesn't need to be being alone. In typical captive sales forces, you end up theoretically with a very supportive environment. I mean, that's been the argument in favor of those models for a long time. That's certainly not what it used to be, and things have changed a lot in the industry, even in the last couple of years. So, having independence is super important, but also, that can be very scary and very intimidating, and lots of advisors will feel that there's just too much that's just too much. That can be very intimidating. So we have a model and a support system, not only with the people that we have around the table, but also just from a framework perspective that allows our advisors to get what they need and feel like they're part of a family as well. So it's very important. Share equity is something that we reserve for certainly the larger practices that come, but the idea here is very straightforward. Basically, those who contribute to the success of our firm will become owners in the firm. And then finally, the succession planning piece is very exciting because, as we all know, the average age of advisors in the industry is in the high 50s, probably about to cross into the 60s, which means that the issue of succession planning is paramount for a lot of advisors. So we do have a model in place, a corporate framework for, we call it the Now Exchange, which allows for a fair and equitable formula, in my view, to value the business and take into account things other than just trailers. To say trailers ×2 or ×3 or ×4, that's all nice and dandy, but it's not fully reflective. You need to take into account, in my view, other factors that impact the value of a book of business, which can really increase that valuation significantly. And we have a system in place to allow for that safe and secure handoff of business. So we're excited about that as well. So in summary, fair comp, broad product shelf, freedom to grow. These are all really important things for us. And we really embed these values and these ideas into everything we do.